And then it's interspersed with some clips Mike got from the same system in England they put in 5 years ago. Now you haven't paid your taxes, can't walk down the street. Your new cars won't start. You have to thumb scan to start them. Satellite kill switches in them. And there I was 4 years ago protesting down at the DMV and being arrested. Here it is, the U.S. Car spy punishes privacy limit. ZDNet News. People speeding in rent cars over 1 mile an hour were given $450 speeding fines by the Acme Rent-A-Car. You see? And this is already the law in England. All new cars have the satellite kill switches in them. Haven't done anything wrong, but you're treated like a criminal. No thumbprint, no rental car. This is in the U.S., by the way, that I just showed you. This is from Wired News in the U.S. Their former editor, who has his own magazine now, was in New Mexico and was traveling to Oakland, California, tried to get a rent car at Dollar Rent-A-Car, and they're putting him in nationwide, no digital thumb scan, no rent car. And he asked him, how do you know what my thumbprint is? From the driver's license facility. Cashless society. 3 years after Argentina put it in, the IMF bankrupted them. December 7th, and they went all cashless. Total debtor slaves now. No thumbprint, no rental car. Government eavesdropping on phone calls between lawyers and clients. The Associated Press. Health and Human Services set to order smallpox vaccine for all Americans, and the military will force you to take it. Funny, before this happened, I had articles where the military was training. The military was being trained to go help the kids get their vaccinations in Illinois and New York and California schools. Isn't that interesting? They had the troops training to give vaccines to the people years ago, and now it may be mandatory because they love us. Then I've got a whole stack of news articles we won't get to in this film, but it's out there for you, where they're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. Why do you think cancer's up 400%? The UN has said they want to reduce world population by 80%. They want us out of the way, folks. Here's Insight Magazine, a division of the Washington Times. Emergency is a pretext was the cover of the magazine, with a nice man in a black ski mask on the cover. This is a print article off the web from that police state. And Congressman Ron Paul says none of them were allowed to read the USA Patriot Act. We're told to pass it or else. He voted no. One of only a dozen or so people, a good Republican from right here in Texas, who's now saying at the end of the article, Ron Paul, Air Force flight surgeon, highly decorated, multiply elected congressman. He says, our founding fathers would think it's time for a revolution. This is why they revolted in the first place, says Paul, with a laugh. They revolted against much more mild oppression. Under the UN gavel, the Washington Post, admitting the UN Criminal Court now controls the U.S., even though it hasn't been ratified. There are no juries. You cannot face your accusers. They can hold you indefinitely. Under the UN gavel, the Washington Post. You ought to read that story. Loss of rights feared if Bush security moves. Lawmakers say courts, Congress bypassed. San Francisco Chronicle reposted from the New York Times. Anti-terror bill damned for catch-all powers. London Guardian. Suspected terrorist will not see evidence, will be tried in foreign countries if need be for the safety of the court, and can be executed in secret. The Sunday Times of London. Again, these are all on Infowars.com, saved for you right there to go read for yourself. And then don't believe me, call the newspaper, ask them if they wrote this. Go to their website, read their archives. Terrorizing the Bill of Rights. The Village Voice, now a liberal publication, telling you the same thing. And now, as if you can't handle any more, as if it's gotten too bizarre, martial law, militarization, concentration camp coming up for you. That's coming up. As if you can't handle any more of this. Digital Angel product launch scheduled for November 26. And they have this scheduled for several years in consortium with a defense contractor. What is Digital Angel? It is an implantable microchip run off the body's own heat, which is boosted by cell towers to satellites. This is from Bloomberg Financial, the #1 name in financial news. Mainstream. I have Fox News. I have the Associated Press. All that's on my website. And I have a link to their website, Implantable Microchips, a link to Digital Solutions website, and that little angel, more like a little devil. And they're now advertising it, and people are taking microchips in South Florida. Initial marketing campaigns will focus on South Florida with its high concentration of favorable demographic groups, elderly. Here is the Army website, Army.mil, folks, saying that we will accept brain chips in the near future. The population, implantable microchip. I also have a Federation of American Scientists saying it, implantable microchip. Why the implantable microchip? Ethical and public relations issues. The entire population will accept the brain chip. They use a word we can understand by 2025, and it's already rolled out. Unbelievable. U.S. gun rights under foreign UN attack. Constitution anti-gun activists would like to have the UN meddle with the Second Amendment rights. This was from July 15th. They were meeting July 4th to say they want our guns. Unbelievable. And since the attacks, they're demanding we have national registration. There you have it. The Baltimore Sun under foreign attack, your gun rights. Anti-terrorism bill threatens civil liberties, experts say. A military secret no longer. Classified U.S. test 30 years ago exposed thousands of sailors to chemical and biological weapons. Hartford Courant, also Chicago Tribune. In conjunction, they sprayed San Francisco with a deadly weapon in '68. Deaths resulted. Details remain classified. This is your loving government. And now, as if all of this police state news isn't scary enough, London Guardian, Hollywood afraid of losing the plots. Hollywood has assembled a war cabinet in response to requests from the White House to help. But tensions are emerging with some entertainment industry members unhappy that they may appear to be acting as a government operative. Where did this article come from? The London Guardian, highly respected. But maybe you don't believe that. Well, here's Variety. Then we'll get to the Associated Press. White House summons biz chieftains. You read it. It says Karl Rove, White House Chief of Staff, meets with the heads of all of Hollywood and the television to say that nothing will be made that puts the government in a bad light. White House summons biz chieftains. It's happening, folks. It's happening. Hollywood to give a boost to U.S. government image in movies. Los Angeles, Associated Press. But that's okay, because we used to have 1.3 million in prison 2 years ago. Now it's 6.5 million. And what do? They let the violent offenders out, keep the nonviolent in, the violent attack people, and you hear, we got to have more prisons, we got to have more prisons. We have more than Russia does. 6.5 million. World record. Really, that's not true. China doesn't call it prisons. They have 35 million at any one time in re-education centers. But that's where we're going here. That's the United States, where the government ships in the narcotics and then puts you in prison for it. MSNBC, now at 6.5 mil, up from 1.3 mil. A nation of criminals. The polygraph test meets its match. Researchers find brain scans can be a powerful tool and are now testing them in schools on children. Washington Post. And it says, in lieu of the terrorist attacks, this is going to be needed. We'll all be brain scanned. So we're now a nation of criminals. The polygraph test meets its match. Researchers find brain scans can be a powerful tool in detecting lies. And it says here, some of the articles, I got a whole bunch on this, they're testing them in schools. The children get hooked up to the brain scanners to see if mommy and daddy owns a gun or if they've been smoking pot or drinking beer. This is the Washington Post, November 12th. But America's going to accept it now in light of the terrorist attacks, it says. I mean, I can't go on any further, ladies and gentlemen, with this. This is what America faces. This is what we're dealing. with, this is America. This is what they stand to gain out of everything they've done. You already heard about the government prior knowledge, funding, training, organizing the terrorists, protecting them, threatening to arrest FBI and Defense Intelligence agents that were blowing the whistle before the attacks. David Shippers, the former impeachment lawyer, has gone public representing these men. But American news media won't report on it by and large. There's been a few articles. It's all over Europe. That's why Europe stopped with a phony UN takeover of the Middle East now. And we've covered the problem, reaction, solution section for you. And I'm going to go back through that again because it's so important. How the government uses terrorism to get all this through. But right now, we need to quickly, very quickly, get to martial law and world government section for you. And I had to really condense